What if Jana Zakarneh had been a boy? Jana was a 16-year-old who had a white cat named Lulu, and most probably dreams too. She had recently been photographed holding a cardboard poster on which she had written obscure thoughts, typical of a teenager. Don't think and don't have doubts about Jana, because girls have a lot of problems. One military reporter who understands it to be his job praised, as is his custom, the decorated and experienced border police sniper who put an end to Jana's problems and dreams with 9 bullets. One of them shattered her skull. Other military reporters repeated, as is their custom, what had been dictated to them. Jana was a terrorist. She took photographs and passed them on to terrorists. She stood near to an armed terrorist who fired at the soldiers, or, when all else failed, Jana was killed erroneously. The United States posted a quarrel street. The Israeli media consented, as is not its custom, to mention her being killed. Channel 13 even opened its news bulletin with it, to their credit. The defense minister regretted that damned clenched word reversed exclusively for these occasions. The prime minister extended condolences for her death, as though she died of a disease in the prime of her life, without mentioning her by name. Every few dozen Palestinians killed, something raises a faint ripple of interest, some semblance of forced sorrow. Shirin Abu Akleh, because she was a journalist with a US passport. Jana Zakarneh, because she was a girl, and if she'd been a boy, no one would have heard of her, not of her death, and certainly not of her life. محمد نوري، هيثم مبارك، مؤمن جابر، حسين طه، ضرار صلاح، محمد سليمان، عودي صادقة، رياض يامن، أمجد فايد، ثائر مصلح، قصي حمارمة، محمد قاسم، سائد أبو عطية، نادر ريان, and Muhammad Salah are anonymous. They were old of Jana's generation, kids, aged 16, and all were killed only this year by Israel. Not one of them deserved to die. No 16-year-old does. They could all have been arrested, wounded, if there even was such a need, not killed. A society wallowing in its dead, canonizing every Jewish victim, has sealed its heart for decades to the thousands of fatalities caused by its soldiers. Even when their children, the elderly, women, journalists, or medical professionals, this society lies to itself constantly with a host of excuses, denies and suppresses what should be obvious. All the more so recently, in the days of the armored chief of fatalities and the government of a change. Over the past year, the Israeli occupation forces and the border police have been shooting anything that moves, with no accountability or guilt, long before the Washington or the Hajj heard of Itamar Ben-Gvir. Security forces have killed 144 Palestinians, 34 of them children and teenagers, according to B'Tselem, in what's been a relatively calm year for Israel. For the Palestinians, this year was the deadliest since 2004. This must be talked about, but there isn't anyone to talk to. This must be talked about long before all the exciting news, but there is no place for such talk. Israel doesn't want to hear or know. Bezalel Smotrich isn't the problem. Neither is Ben-Gvir. The ground for this horrifying obstance was prepared long before them, and now everyone's appalled. What will happen? First, they should have asked what has happened. That shooting did a 16-year-old girl on the roof of her house in a Palestinian town invaded by occupation forces fails to move anyone. Jana was a girl whose parents found her corpse between the water boilers in their roof. in a pool of blood flowing from her head. Had she been a boy, you would have never even heard of her.